So, good afternoon. We continue. So, today class is about solution presentation concept, followed by pollution prevention application. This is just book introduction to environmental management, page 200. Mm, in this chapter, discuss about pollution prevention. This concept is taken from EPA, Environmental Protection Agency. Pollution prevention concept is the first success Pollution Prevention Act in 1990. The Pollution Prevention Act is to the industry approach to environmental management, pollution prevention has now become the environmental option of the decade in the 20th century. So, pollution, pollution prevention and pollution control is different. The pollution prevention is coming to the root source, meaning we reduce the occurrence of pollution starting from the tip the process. However, pollution control is about the risk is already there, and how to control and how to manage the waste. Later, we have a waste management timetable is those on US history, see how it's developed from 1945, the Second World War till now. Whereas typical waste management methodologies concentrate on end-of-pipe pollution control, meaning the pollution is there within the system, and how to avoid the pollution from being discharged to the environment. Pollution prevention attempt to handle waste at source. So pollution prevention and pollution control is not is not the same. Okay. Now you know what is the difference between pollution prevention and pollution control. This- we know it. What stimulated the individual industry to prevent the generation of waste? The answer you can refer to the book. So what stimulated the individual industry to prevent the generation of waste is based on the book, page 267. Pollution prevention, the opportunity is stimulated by economic legislation, liability concern, and the enhanced environmental benefit of managing waste at the source. And therefore, one, two, three, four factors that stimulate individual industry to prevent the generation of waste. Later on, we see how the legislation actually driven the industry to develop and to change their mindset from pollution control to pollution prevention. The EPA Pollution Prevention Act of 1990 has established pollution prevention as a national policy, declaring waste should be prevented or reduced at the source whenever feasible, while pollution that cannot be prevented should be recycled in an environmentally safe manner. So, although with the pollution prevention, there still be waste that cannot be prevented. So this this waste must be, if possible, should be recycled or ultimately disposed. So later there will be a hierarchy for decision makers, especially both for industry and individual. Based on the EPA policy, they establish a hierarchy of waste management, starting from resource reduction, recycling or reuse, treatment, and ultimate disposal. So in this hierarchy, the lower it goes, the decreasing the preference. You should start with the source reduction first. If it's not possible, then the waste should be recycling, reused. If it's not possible, then it should be treated. So once it's treated, there must be some residual waste. That waste must be disposed. Or if it can be recycled or used, then it should be recycled or used. The hierarchy categorized prioritized so as to promote the examination of each individual alternative prior to the investigation of a subsequent option. The most preferable alternative should be thoroughly evaluated before consideration is given to a less accepted option. Just like I said, start with the number one. If it's not possible, then go to the number two and so on. Practice that decrease, avoid or eliminate the donation of waste. Considered source reduction and can include the implementation of procedure as simple and economical as good housekeeping. Recycling is the use, reuse, or reclamation of waste and or material and involve the incorporation of waste recovery techniques such as distillation and filtration. So for the first point here, refer to the source reaction, meaning the process is using a certain type of chemical that is hazardous. Why not replacing or replace it with some chemical that is not hazardous, something like that. That is source reduction, reduction at the source. A treatment. It involves the destruction or detoxification of waste into non-toxic or less toxic. Less toxic material by chemical, biological, or physical method, or any combination of this method. Disposal has been included in the hierarchy because it is recognized that residual waste still exists. So after the treatment, normally there will be a residual waste, maybe in terms of sludge, or if it is covered, then you have liquid waste. The EPA so-called ultimate disposal option in the past included landfilling, land farming, ocean dumping, and deep well injection. However, the term ultimate disposal here is a misnomer, but is included here because of its earlier adaptation by the EPA. So table 30.1 provide a rough timetable demonstrating the national approach US to waste management. If you can see here, you can see how the waste management has begun to shift from pollution control to pollution prevention. So prior to 1945, there is no control. Then in 1945 to 1960, little control, some control. Since the EPA founded in 1970 to 1975, there's a better control, more sophisticated control. So that the beginning of waste reduction management. Then in 1990, Pollution Prevention Act was online. Then they start pollution prevention activities. Yeah. You can see until 1980, it's done the sophisticated control. After that, it's more toward pollution prevention. Pollution prevention hierarchy. The preferred method is source reduction. And this approach actually precedes traditional waste management by addressing the source of the problem prior to its problem. Meaning they determine what type of process they want to do and how they check and modify the process so that the waste or pollution did not occur or appear in the first place. Although the EPA policy does not consider recycling or treatment as actual pollution prevention method, this method presents an opportunity to reduce the amount of waste that might otherwise be discharged into the environment. The definition of source reduction as applied in the Pollution Prevention Act, however, is any quote, any practice which reduce the amount of hazardous substance, pollutant, or contaminant entering any waste stream or otherwise released into the environment prior to recycling, treatment, or disposal. So waste minimization generally consider all of the methods in the EPA hierarchy, equal to this chart, except for disposal. Appropriate to reduce the volume or quantity of waste requiring disposal. So it's clear here that the definition of pollution prevention and its synonym, which is waste minimization, it must be understood first before it can be fully appreciated and applied to this technique. As source reduction reduce the amount of waste generated is therefore considered through pollution prevention and has the highest priority in the EPA hierarchy. Recycling, including reuse and reclamation, refers to the use or reuse of material that would otherwise be disposed of or treated as a waste product. Waste that cannot be directly reused may often be recovered on site through methods such as distillation. But if the recovery on site, reuse on site is not feasible due to some factors such as quality specification or might be due to inability to perform the on-site recovery. Off-site recovery at a permitted commercial recovery facility is one of the possibility. This is about the second one. The so again for recycling, such recycling is still a secondary to source reduction because the first point here, source reduction, is to prevent the waste from occurs. So, but for the second recycling here, the waste is there already, but we recycle or reuse it. Therefore, recycle is secondary to source reduction and should only be used when pollution cannot be prevented. Treatment of waste is the third element of the hierarchy and should be utilized only in the absence of feasible source reduction or recycling opportunities. So waste treatment involves the use of chemical, let's say biological, or physical, or combination of any of the process to reduce or remove or eliminate the waste material. The one of the method is incineration of waste. This method is included in this category and considered preferable to other treatment method because incineration can permanently destroy the hazardous component in waste material. And so 5 minutes. So far we have covered the pollution prevention hierarchy. So identify the residual waste of the incineration process based on the pollution prevention hierarchy. At which hierarchy level does the incineration residual waste? Ada term je. So the residual waste from incineration is categorized as bottom ash, fly ash, and flue gas. So for flue, bottom ash and fly ash, um, based on the prevention hierarchy, it fit, including flue gas, if it's possible to or recycle, it should be at the hierarchy level, or otherwise it can be disposed. Or disposal is level 4. Many of these pollution prevention elements used by industry in combination to achieve the waste reduction. Residual waste that cannot be prevented, such as incineration residual waste, but otherwise managed and then disposed of only as a last resort. So meaning residual waste within from the incineration possible should be recycled at least. Multimedia analysis and life cycle cost analysis. So in order to properly multimedia here referred to many type of media, not the multimedia as this is talking about contaminant media. In order to properly design and then implement pollution prevention program, the first of all ways must be fully understood and evaluated. Multimedia analysis involves a multifaceted approach. It must not only consider one waste stream, but all potential contaminant multimedia. Thus the name multimedia. Past waste management, this have been concerned primarily with treatment, and such method only solve one waste problem. Yeah, that's true. By transferring a contaminant from one medium to another, such as air stripping. Such waste shifting is not pollution prevention or waste reaction. Example is treating. The you have waste in gaseous form. Then you use air stripping to strip the gaseous, but at the end up with solid waste or liquid waste. Meaning the waste is actually just transforming from gaseous to some other medium. And this is what the book say. We term it as waste shifting. Pollution prevention technique must be evaluated through a thorough consideration of all media and the thermal media. This approach is a clear departure from previous pollution treatment or control technique, where it was acceptable to transfer a pollutant from one source to another in order to solve the waste problem. Pollution control, yeah, you actually transfer the control one source to another. But at the end, the waste problem is still there. 3 minutes. Name pollution control equipment that prevent or reduce the discharge of waste into the air while producing a liquid hazardous waste. So one of the example is gas desulfurization. The petrol gas from coal-fired power plant contain sulfur dioxide, sulfur dioxide, okay. Uh, this tool is having resource is actually coming from the burning of coal with high sulfur content. So what they do is they use FGD, like it is a scrubber, meaning the furnace after the FGD, then there's water in mist form in contact with the FGD. Some of the FGD they use calcium carbonate, you know, instead of water. And they will have some solid waste. So that is one of the uh, equipment that waste shift, which is from gaseous to solid form. To prevent this coming out, to reduce or to eliminate the formation of SO2 and SO3 is by changing at the source. Meaning instead of using coal with high sulfur content, they can choose to use a coal with low sulfur content. So it's easy. Later we see why pollution prevention is not really welcome by the industry. Okay, so another method besides multimedia analysis is life cycle analysis. The impact resulting during the production of a product must be evaluated over its entire history or life cycle. So life cycle means starting from the how they procure the raw material, how it was transported from the source to the actual plant that produce the product. What happened when they distribute the product? It is entire history and life cycle analysis of the product. Life cycle analysis or total system approach is crucial to identifying opportunities for improvement. This type of evaluation identify the energy use, material input, waste generated during product life. The energy used here is referred to including the energy coming from the electricity. So if the electricity is generated from a generator, a diesel generator, or coming from a coal-fired plant, then they can actually calculate the energy use and the impact of the energy use toward the environment. From extraction and processing of raw material to manufacture and transport of a product to the marketplace, and finally to use and dispose of the product. So all of this is the history of the life cycle of the product. Three-part life cycle model we adopted. This model consists of the following: inventory of material and energy use and environmental releases from all stages in the life of a product or process. Second, an analysis of potential environmental effect related to energy use and material resources and environmental releases. Third one is analysis of the changes needed to bring about environmental improvement for the product or process under evaluation. The traditional cost analysis often fail to include factors relevant to future damage claim resulting from litigation, the depletion of natural resources, the effect of energy use, and so on. So by conducting life cycle analysis, we actually can oversee. We can anticipate the future damage claim resulting from some of these factors. Therefore, waste management option. Waste management options such as liquid disposal may appear preferential if an overall life cycle analysis is not performed. So it is evident that environmental costs from cradle to grave to be evaluated. In this cradle to grave meaning from the production of the product from the raw material to its disposal have to be evaluated together with more conventional production costs to accurately ascertain genuine production costs. In the future, a total system approach life cycle analysis will most likely involve a more careful evaluation of pollution, energy, and safety issues. For example, if one were to compare the benefit of coal versus oil as fuel source for an electric power plant, the use of coal might be considered economically favorable, which is true. Yeah, coal is cheaper than fuel. In addition to the cost issue, however, one must be concerned with the environmental effect of coal mining, transportation, and storage prior to use as fuel. So the second point here is actually referring to the life cycle analysis. So instead of evaluating only the cost issue, which is in the first point, if we taking into the consideration of other factors such as mining, transportation, storage, including safety issue, then at the end there might be better to choose fuel as a source of electric power plant. So, if you do this, yeah, based on the life cycle analysis concept, explain the disadvantages of choosing coal over oil as a fuel source for an electric power plant. Until 1 p.m. Okay. So the disadvantages of choosing coal over oil as a fuel source for an electric power plant. Although both actually produce CO2 when burned, the amount of CO2 emitted by coal is actually higher than the fuel. And in order to reduce it more, actually, best is to use a natural gas. Oh, but the so gas mm, a fuel and oil in its natural state will produce emits carbon. So although during the mining of the coal, it will not emit any carbon to the atmosphere, but during the mining, methane will be released into the air. And estimated that each year, including this year, 61 million metric ton of carbon dioxide equivalent ton of methane is released into the air due to coal mining activities. So, how about the safety issue? The safety issue referred to the miners, coal miners. There are serious health and safety issues, safety matters exposed to the coal miners, which is fall within the life cycle analysis, and also the effect of the fugitive emission. So, fugitive emission refers to unplanned emission, such as during the coal mining, it will produce a methane, lot of methane. So when this effect are weighed alongside standard economic factor, the cost benefit of coal usage may no longer appear valid. Although in the first place, the coal compared to oil or natural gas is considered cheaper. Yeah. However, uh, however, however, based on all the factors with the life cycle analysis, yeah, we the energy provider might choose natural gas or fuel oil as the source of electric power plant. So there are procedures to pollution prevention assessment. There are three phases, sorry, four phases, starting with planning and organization, then assessment phase, feasibility analysis phase, and the last one is implementation. The first step in establishing pollution prevention program is the obtainment of management commitment. This is similar to ISO 100. Management commitment. So management commitment is necessary given the inherent need for project structure and control. Management will determine the amount of funding allotted for the program, as well as specific program goal, which is why in order to establish the pollution prevention program, the management commitment is the first priority. The data collected during the actual evaluation are then used to develop options for reducing the type and amount of waste generated. So figure 30.2 depict a systematic approach that can be used during the procedure, the pollution prevention assessment procedure, starting with planning and organization. They then organize the task force specifically for assess the pollution prevention. Then they do the assessment of the process. And from there, they do evaluation on the feasibility analysis. Then they implement the option. After a particular waste stream or area of concern is identified, feasibility studies are performed involving both economic and technical consideration. The four phases of the assessment, planning and organization, assessment, feasibility, and implementation. First phase, planning and organization. The purpose of this phase is to obtain the management commitment, to define and develop the program goals, and to assemble a project team. So the first step here is important, vital for a successful performance of the pollution prevention assessment. So therefore, both the management the managers and the staff, facility staff. They play important role in assessment procedure by providing the necessary commitment and familiarity with the facility, its processes, and the current waste management operation of the plant. So the benefit of the program here referred to the pollution prevention assessment, including economic advantages, liability reduction, regulatory compliance, and improved public image. So once the management is committed to do the program and the goal has been set, then the next step is within the planning organization is to establish a task force. So the task force have a team leader, and even the selection of the team leader is included in the book. So this task force must be capable of identifying pollution reduction alternative, as well as the cognizance of inherent obstacle to the process. So the barrier frequently arise from the anxiety associated with the belief that the program referred to the pollution prevention will negatively. One of the barriers frequently arise is the program or the pollution prevention will negatively affect the product quality or result in production losses. That is one of the concern that might arise and must be overcome by the program task force. So 3 minutes, identify the inherent obstacle to the process of pollution prevention assessment. Actually, the inherent obstacle, there are many. Based on this book, there are full concern to pollution prevention. One of it is there, just like I said, anxiety associated with the belief that the pollution prevention will negatively affect the product quality or result in production losses. And based on the survey by EPA, 30% of industry comment responded that they were concerned that product quality would decline if waste minimization technique were implemented. The second one. So the assessment phase, second phase, aim to collect data required to identify and analyze pollution prevention opportunities. The assessment of the facility waste reduction needs include the examination of hazardous waste stream, process operation, and the identification of techniques that often promise the reduction of waste generation. Okay. The American Society of Testing and Material, or ASTM, suggests the following information should be reviewed. This is for the assessment phase. There are 6 criteria set by ASTM. Product design criteria, PFD, for all of the solid waste, wastewater, and air emission sources. A site map involving the collocation of all pertinent units, such as pollution control device network discharge. The fourth one is environmental documentation, including SCS or permit or any application information. The fifth is economic data. This includes the cost of raw material management, which also cost of air, wastewater, and hazardous waste treatment. There's a lot of criteria and the economic data. The sixth is managerial information. So this involves environmental policy and procedure of the company and their prioritization of waste management concern. So all of these 6 processes need to be reviewed in under the assessment phases. Next is feasibility analysis. The preferred alternative selection is performed by an evaluation of technical and economic consideration. So once the assess or understand the process, they propose the method to prevent the pollution here. So if there are several options, then we need to do the technical evaluation, economical evaluation, and the feasibility analysis is. And some typical consideration is follow. To choose the method, procedure, or product here under this case, you need to consider the safety concern, the quality, the impact to the product quality or delay to the production during the fitting or retrofitting of the method equipment. The labor or training requirement for the new process for pollution prevention, creation of new environmental concern, waste reduction potential. This is talking about the pollution prevention method, which normally involve new equipment or change in raw material, utility and budget requirement, and space and compatibility concern. There are 7 considerations. If if the option proved to be technically ineffective or inappropriate, it is deleted from the list of potential alternatives. So either following or concurrent with the technical evaluation, an economic study is performed weighing standard measure of profitability such as payback period, investment return, and net present value. Many of these costs, appropriately cost saving, may be substantial yet are difficult to quantify. The last phase is implementation. Finding of the overall assessment are used to demonstrate the technical and economic readiness of program implementation. So when preferred waste pollution prevention techniques are identified, they are implemented and should become part of the facility day-to-day management and operation, part of the process. It it should be noted that waste reduction, energy conservation, and safety issues are interrelated and often complementary to each other. Okay, 5 minutes, at 1:30. Waste reduction, energy conservation, and safety issues are interrelated and often complementary to each other. Explain how the factors complement each other. This is under the implementation phase. So the this factor is interrelated with each other by example, the reduction in the amount of energy facility consumed will result in reduced in emission, which is reduced therefore cover the energy conservation and risk reduction associated with the generation of power. Energy expenditure associated with the treatment and transport of waste are similarly reduced. So due to reduce emission, so there will be a reduction in treatment and transport of the waste. So when the amount of waste generated is lessened, so at the same time worker safety is elevated due to reduced exposure to the hazardous material. So in the end, it started from the reduction in the amount of energy the facility consumed, then it will affect the waste reduction, which later on will influence the uh, safety issue to the worker. Energy expenditure associated with the treatment and transport waste. Okay, this is covered already. Pollution prevention application. Pollution prevention application is 31 in the books, page 277. So if you refer to this chapter, the first 31.1 section introduction talking about material balance a lot. So one of the key elements of the assessment phase, the assessment phase is the second phase of a pollution prevention program involve mass balance equation. So by performing a mass balance in conjunction with pollution prevention assessment, the amount of waste generated become known. So conservation law is mass in minus mass out plus mass generated equal to mass accumulated. Is the general form. So the success of a pollution prevention program can therefore be measured by using this information on baseline generation rate. So mass balance calculation are particularly useful for quantifying the fugitive emission, such as evaporative losses. And waste stream data and mass balance will enable one to track the flow and characteristic of the waste stream over time, since in most cases the accumulation equals 0 for steady state operation. It can be assumed that any build-up is actually leaving the process through fugitive emission or other means. So this can be useful in identifying trends in waste and pollutant generation, and can also be critical the task of measuring the performance of implemented pollution prevention option. So there are barriers to pollution prevention. Barriers mean is incentive. So what makes industry or individual reluctant to adopt pollution prevention? There are areas between incentive identify with pollution prevention. There are numerous reasons why more businesses are not reducing the waste they generate. One is there are both reasons together combined as this. The first one is technical limitation. Given the complexity of present manufacturing processes, waste stream exists that cannot be reduced with current technology. The need for continued research and development is evident. That is due to technical limitation. Mm, Other than that, lack of information. In some instances, the information needed to make a pollution prevention decision may be confidential or difficult to obtain. In addition, many decision makers are simply unaware of the potential opportunities available regarding information to aid in the implementation of a pollution prevention program. Uh, Third is consumer preference obstacle. But for consumer, it's more about the cost. Consumer preference strongly affect how a product is produced, packaged, and marketed. If the implementation of a pollution prevention program result in increased cost of a product or decreased convenience or availability, consumer might be reluctant to use it. Fourth is concern over product quality decline, meaning the use of a less hazardous material in a product manufacturing process may result in decreased life, durability, or competitiveness. This is when changes occurs during the at the fit raw material of the product. The fifth one is economic concern. Uh, Many companies are unaware of the economic advantages associated with pollution prevention. Legitimate concern may include decreased profit margin or the lack of fund required for the initial capital investment. Another one is total system approach of the life cycle assessment. So meaning that's if they actually do the life cycle analysis, the economic concern of the case, for example, the case with oil versus oil. After the consideration many factors, actually it is more beneficial to use fuel as the source of fuel for electric power plant. Uh, Six, resistant to change. The unwillingness of many businesses to change is rooted in their reluctance to try technologies that may be unproven or based on a combination of the various discussed in this section. The seventh is regulatory barriers. Existing regulations that have created incentive for the control and containment of waste are at the same time discouraging the exploration of pollution prevention alternative. Moreover, since regulatory enforcement is often intermittent, current legislation can weaken waste reduction incentive. So, in 3 minutes, explain how consumer preferences become barrier to pollution prevention. So, the consumer preferences become a barrier to pollution prevention. Mm, is due mostly on the cost of the product, or they found it is not convenience, or the lack of availability of the product after the implementation of the pollution prevention program. So due to that factors, the consumer might be reluctant to use the method. Okay. Continue to the barriers to pollution prevention. It is a lack of markets. Okay, implementation of pollution prevention processes in the production of environmentally friendly product will be of no avail if market do not exist for such good. Example is the recycling of newspaper in the United States, which resulted in an overabundance of waste paper without market prepared to take advantage of this raw material. This is one of the example. The management ability, many managers capable of making decisions to begin pollution prevention activity do not realize the potential benefit of pollution prevention and may therefore take on an attitude of passiveness. This is refer back to the life cycle analysis of the product in order to realize the potential benefit of pollution prevention. Next is institutional barriers. Okay. In an organization without a strong infrastructure to support pollution prevention plan, the waste reduction program will be difficult to implement. Similarly, if there is no mechanism in place to hold individual accountable for the action, the successful implementation of pollution prevention program will be limited. The last two, lack of awareness, pollution prevention advantages. As mentioned in the economic concern, decision makers may be uninformed of the benefit associated with pollution reduction. And last is a concern over dissemination of confidential product information. So, if a product prevention assessment reveals confidential data pertinent to a company product, fear may exist that the organization will lose a competitive edge with other businesses in the industry. I have few more slides, but I will stop here. We continue next week for another 2 weeks. Next week is this 2 week. So thank you.